Things go from 0 to 100 real quick. Mochizuki is slumped against the wall, looking like he just ran a marathon with no shoes on. He is totally drained. Meanwhile, Tsukimi has him cornered in the hallway like a predator stalking its prey. The tension in the air is so thick you could cut it with a dull spoon. Mochizuki is thinking, is this how I get sent to the lobby? Trapped in a hallway? He is sweating bullets. She is staring him down with eyes that say he is the main course. She leans in close, invading his personal bubble, and mutters that she has reached her limit. She says, I can't take it anymore. The look on Mochizuki's face is pure comedy gold. His eyes are popping out of his skull. He realizes his stamina bar is empty and there is nowhere to run. She drops a quick, sorry, but she does not sound sorry at all. She admits she is done trying to hold back. My guy Mochizuki is internally screaming for a pause button, frantically looking for a save point that does not exist. He is terrified of whatever it is about to be. He is thinking, please don't let this be a game over screen. It is the first day of school, the annual ritual of judgment. Mochizuki scans the board to find his fate. Class 2. Standard stuff, nothing to write home about. His bro is already on the prowl, hunting for waifus like it is a ranked match. But my guy Mochizuki, he has zero interest in the 3D world. He knows the truth. 2D girls never betray you. Suddenly, the NPC chatter spikes through the roof. An S-tier cutie just spawned in the hallway, and the boys are practically foaming at the mouth. The thirst levels are critical. She glides by with maximum sparkle effects enabled. Mochizuki spots her, and his brain instantly blue screens. Error 404. Composure not found. He stammers out, Payan-chan. He knows exactly who this is. The repressed memories are flooding back. In class, she drops her name, Tsukimi Kawaru. Then she looks the class dead in the eye and declares she loves meat. Total power move, asserting dominance on day 1. Mochizuki is sweating enough to fill a bucket. That is his childhood friend, the one who ghosted him years ago and left him on red for eternity. And yes, she was his first crush. The nostalgia damage is critical. He is taking massive emotional damage right now. She senses the gaze. Like a predator spotting prey, she locks onto him instantly. There is no escape. Mochizuki tries to calculate the physics of her glow-up, wondering if she was always a flashbang grenade in disguise, but his buddy catches him lacking in 4K resolution. Bro gets exposed instantly. He tactical retreats to the roof to reboot his fried nervous system. He is happy she is back, but this software update is completely crashing his CPU. Then a voice spawns right next to his ear. She followed him up here and drops the childhood nickname Payan-chan like a tactical nuke. She reminds him of the deep lore. He gave her that name because she had absolute moon gravity hops back in the day. She was not just a jumper though. Sprinting, dodgeball, she dominated the entire server physically, an absolute unit in a small package. Then she shifts gears. She looks him dead in the eye and admits he was the only player 2 she ever had. She slides closer. We are talking negative space here. Mochizuki tries to beg for oxygen, but she insists this is standard operating procedure. She claims the proximity relaxes her. Then she leans in, flares her nostrils, and inhales his scent like fine wine. Absolute menace behavior. Mochizuki's survival instincts finally kick in. He shouts a confused warning and scrambles away before his heart explodes. He sprints down the hall like a fugitive. She might look like a supermodel now, but her lack of personal boundaries is still terrifyingly intact. The house finally settles into a rhythm that doesn't involve screaming. The bath is open and dinner is ready. It is almost suspicious how normal everything feels. He steps onto the veranda and the full moon hits him like a truck. That specific lighting triggers a core memory. He is suddenly back in the day playing outside when he definitely should have been asleep. We cut to the past. Even as a kid, Mochizuki is the fun police begging to go home, but Kawa is perched on a branch like a feral cat, insisting the night is just getting started. She dives headfirst into the brush, absolutely disgusted that she only managed to find a boring drone beetle. She tosses it aside like garbage. Then she freezes. Her eyes lock onto something deep in the canopy. The vibe shifts instantly. Mochizuki stands at the base of the tree, calculating the odds of her breaking a bone. He is already preparing his apology speech to her parents. She hits the ground hard. She looks completely rattled. The confidence is gone, replaced by pure panic as she demands to leave right now. He tries to ask what she saw, but she shuts him down instantly. She is sweating bullets, clearly hiding something that would send a normal person to therapy. Then the memory glitches. A shadow lunges out of the void and sinks its teeth right into her neck. No hesitation. Mochizuki watches in total shock. His brain is buffering, unable to process the sudden aggression. He screams her name, but his voice just echoes uselessly through the empty street. Nobody is coming to help. He snaps back to reality and connects the dots. That girl never understood the concept of personal space. She was always a wild card. In fact, she used to bite him constantly in school. She would just casually treat his arm like a chew toy while he tried to study. She might have mellowed out now, but the stress of dealing with her is absolutely cooking him. He is aging in dog years just being around her. His boy clocks the depression vibe instantly. Mochizuki tries to dodge the question, but look at him. He is sweating buckets like he is sitting under a heat lamp in an interrogation room. The friend calls his bluff and asks if this is about Tsukimi. Mochizuki denies it way too hard. He is practically screaming that he does not care, which usually means he cares a lot. That lie earns him a verbal beatdown. His bro starts listing insults like he is reading from a dictionary of pain, calling him a smelly piece of trash and a certified Darwin Award winner. He goes from 0 to 100 and grabs Mochizuki by the collar. He gets right in his face and reminds him that he is already friends with the girl, so all this drama is completely unnecessary. Since logic failed, he switches to violence. He connects a solid right hook to the jaw that probably rattled his ancestors, ordering him to quit stalling and go talk to her. Mochizuki holds his face and stands there paralyzed. Inside his head, he imagines her waiting for him with a baseball bat like a final boss. The sheer stress squeezes a single pathetic tear out of him. He tries to stammer out an excuse, but gets interrupted by another impact to the dome. The beatings will continue until morale improves. Just as he tries to recover, the universe decides to double tap him. A stray volleyball comes out of nowhere and absolutely obliterates his face. Critical hit. The ketchup starts flowing immediately. Tsukimi instantly goes into crisis management mode, dragging him away for a medevac. Meanwhile, his so-called friends basically tell him to stop getting deleted on the court and get lost. In the hallway, Mochizuki tries to play the alpha. He tells himself he is built different, swearing he is totally fine to walk on his own. 2 seconds later, gravity humbles him. He hits the floor harder than his GPA, proving that losing a pint of ketchup actually does make you dizzy. He finally admits defeat and lets her help. But once they are alone in the room, the vibe shifts from medical emergency to psychological horror. Tsukimi isn't just worried, she is tweaking. Her heart is pounding loud enough to break the sound barrier. She snaps. With zero warning, she tackles him to the ground, pinning him against the wall. She is panting in his face, whispering that she cannot resist anymore. Mochizuki thinks he is about to unlock a special cutscene, but the red flags are flying high. And then, pop. Giant fluffy ears explode out of her head. The secret is out. We have gone full supernatural. He barely has time to process the furry awakening before she goes feral. She lunges for the jugular. She sinks her fangs right into his shoulder. This isn't a love bite, it is a feeding frenzy. She is straight up drinking him like a juice box while he screams for his life. The red haze lifts and reality hits her like a truck. She realizes she just went full apex predator in the middle of homeroom. Her brain short circuits. She can't even form sentences, just choking on shame and sobbing out broken apologies like a broken record. Fight or flight kicks in, and she chooses flight. She launches herself off the floor, sprinting down the hall to hide her new monster aesthetic before anyone spots the ears. Mochizuki runs the numbers instantly. If a single student sees those fluffy ears, her social life is deleted, and she gets sent to a lab. Game over. He ignores the massive ketchup leak on his neck, grits his teeth, and forces his legs to move. Adrenaline is the only thing keeping him upright. He closes the gap at the stairwell, snagging her arm in a vice grip. He is not letting her run. She thrashes against him, screaming at him to let go before her inner beast decides it wants seconds. She crumbles, confessing that her body went on autopilot. He stares her down, demanding to know exactly what flipped the switch. Then she drops the creepiest line in anime history. To her, he doesn't look like a friend right now. He looks like a 5-star meal, straight up delicious. She admits she has been fighting the urge to snack on him for days, but taking that bite was the only thing that rebooted her system. She tried to hold it back, but the moment the scent of fresh ketchup hit the air, her self-control evaporated into thin air. Mochizuki connects the dots. Turning him into a juice box wasn't an attack. It was a biological necessity. Most guys would run, but he just sighs. He tells her to get up because they need to hit the infirmary before he passes out from lack of fluids. Utsuru is watching from the nosebleeds, and I mean literally. She mocks the failed feeding attempt with zero hesitation. All that drama, all that buildup just to get stopped by a nosebleed? She is absolutely roasting them for it. Then she drops the tactical nuke. Payan-chan. Mochizuki's brain completely stalls out. That is a top-secret nickname that should not exist outside his nightmares. She knows way too much. She introduces herself as the big sister and tells him straight up that Kaworu kept him in the dark on purpose. Why ruin the surprise when you can traumatize him later? She immediately pivots to a dark bedtime story. A wolf eats its lover, so the villagers decide to send the wolf to the lobby. She looks him dead in the eye and asks the million-dollar question. Who is the real villain here? Mochizuki tries to get philosophical about it, but Utsuru hits the buzzer. Wrong answer. She drops the heavy lore. Their family business is creating wolves, and humans, we are just walking MREs waiting to be snacked on. Turns out Kaworu has zero self-control. High school was basically a try not to eat people challenge, and she failed hard. Utsuru is done playing games. She is pulling the plug on this little experiment. Mochizuki tries to white knight his way out of this, but Utsuru shuts him down instantly. It is a family matter. She grabs her sister's wrist and lays down the brutal logic. If your diet consists of humans, you do not get to play house with them. Then we see the proof. The wolf side takes over and corners a terrified girl. Utsuru has to step in like a bouncer and physically restrain Tsukimi before this turns into a crime scene. She screams at him to get a grip. You bit a person! You let the animal win! He tries to deny it, but the guilt is loud and clear. Tsukimi is absolutely losing it. Tears are streaming down her face like a waterfall. She is thinking that for the first time in forever, someone actually gets her and she is not letting go. But Utsuru? Ice in her veins. She looks at this emotional display and feels nothing. She tells Tsukimi to pack it up because this little fantasy world is officially closed for business. Tsukimi decides to go out swinging. She screams that Mochizuki was the only one who didn't look at her like a monster. The hallway turns into a war zone. Utsuru tries to drag her out, but Tsukimi digs her heels in. It is getting messy. Personal space is a myth right now. Utsuru stares at Mochizuki's neck like a hawk spotting a mouse. She points at the bite mark and demands an explanation. Mochizuki's brain completely fries. He is calculating a million excuses a second and lands on the worst one possible. He screams that they are dating and things just got a little spicy. The girls look at him like he just grew a second head. He tries to sell the lie, but Utsuru is not buying it. She points out that normal humans do not try to eat each other during a kiss. Then Tsukimi walks in and decides to pour gasoline on the fire. She admits she just wanted to get a little rough. Talk about terrible timing. The crowd is tearing him apart for dating a creature. Mochizuki has heard enough. He thinks about all the years he spent watching her from afar and something inside him snaps. He screams that he has loved her since elementary school. Wolf or human, it does not matter to him. The man stands 10 toes down on business. Utsuru still thinks he is capping to save his skin. The pressure in the room is heavy enough to crush a car. Mochizuki realizes that talk is cheap. If they want to survive this social execution, they need to show, not tell. Tsukimi decides to end the debate right here and now. She grabs his collar and yanks him in. She plants a massive full contact kiss right on his lips. No hesitation, just pure instinct. The entire room goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. She pulls back with her face turning the color of a tomato. She looks Utsuru dead in the eye and asks if that is enough evidence for the court. Mic drop. Utsuru's brain completely blue screens. You can practically hear the Windows shutdown noise as she stares at them, jaw on the floor, processing the fact that she just got absolutely outplayed in 4K resolution. Once the reboot finishes, she goes full Banshee mode. She declares their little romance is officially on probation, warning them she will be watching their every micro movement like a hawk with a sniper scope. But then, the cringe catches up to her. The realization hits like a freight train, so she throws up the stiffest wave in human history, mumbles a goodbye, and tactical sprints out of there before she self-deletes from pure embarrassment. The hallway finally goes quiet. Mochizuki and Tsukimi slump against the wall, sliding down into a puddle of exhaustion, their social batteries flashing 0%. Mochizuki runs the numbers in his head. He reunited with his childhood friend, discovered she is a literal wolf girl, and now he is under 24/7 surveillance by the fun police. Just another Tuesday. He stares out the window, accepting that his hopes for a normal high school life are officially cooked. Stick a fork in him, he is done. If you want to see how he survives the wolf pack, comment next below. Meet Tsukimi Kawaru. She is my childhood friend, and let's be real, I am absolutely down bad for her. Like, it is actually tragic. We reunited in high school, but she came with a slight update patch. Turns out, she is a literal wolf girl. We are talking ears, claws, and maximum chaotic energy. I tried to convince myself it wasn't a big deal. I figured as long as we avoided specific triggers, daily life would be a breeze. Just ignore the tail, right? So with zero survival instincts, I handed her a razor-sharp box cutter. I literally jinxed us by saying she wouldn't transform if we were just careful. Famous last words. And the universe took that personally. The blade slipped past the cardboard and sliced right into her finger. Ketchup everywhere. Instant panic mode. The pain short-circuited her brain. Her eyes glazed over, and the beast within started waking up. Great job, me. I really outdid myself this time. Tsukimi is practically folding herself in half like a lawn chair to apologize. I wave my bandaged finger to show her the leak is plugged, but she is vibrating with stress. She looks like she is about to self-delete out of pure guilt. I had to be honest with myself. I did not leave the classroom to be a gentleman. I bolted because she was looking at me like I was a juicy Wagyu steak. The drool was a dead giveaway that I was about to be dinner. So we have our culprit. It is the ketchup. She confirmed it instantly. This glitch has happened before, and let me tell you, it is dangerous. It does not even have to touch her. One sniff of the red stuff and her human operating system crashes to the desktop. The wolf takes the wheel and starts driving recklessly. We tried to unpack the biology on the stairs. Her mom is human, so she should be running on diluted genes. But the math is simply not mathing here. But we could not risk a spectator for this chat. I cut the therapy session short and steered us to the roof. Privacy is priority number one when you are discussing werewolf hunger pangs. Tsukimi wakes up and chooses violence, sending 2 NPCs straight to the Shadow Realm with a dropkick. Meanwhile, Mochizuki is in the background, completely glitching out like a broken server. Before he can even reboot his operating system, the hallway bosses spawn in. They are standing there menacingly, striking poses like they are in an intro cutscene. They hoist him up by the collar, demanding answers with absolutely zero chill. The grip is tight, and he can smell the cheap cologne from a mile away. But here's the kicker. They are not thugs, they are stans. These guys are hardcore, obsessive fans of Princess Kawaru, and they are fuming with jealousy over his proximity to their idol. The interrogation logic is flawless. If he admits he is her boyfriend, he gets instantly deleted from the server. Game over. He tries to deny it, but they start screaming in his face. They claim there is nothing normal about him and the princess hanging out. So he pulls the ultimate get out of jail free card. He tells them, "We are just childhood friends." The excuse hits them like a truck. But just as the heat dies down, Tsukimi storms in like a protective girlfriend. She starts accusing the fan club of kidnapping her boy, and the tension spikes back up to 100. Mochizuki spots the danger signal immediately. His life flashes before his eyes because he remembers exactly what happens when she loses her cool. Her eye is twitching. The beast is waking up. If he does not intervene in 0.5 seconds, this hallway is going to turn into a ketchup factory. He dives in and slaps his hand over her head to keep the wolf ears from popping out. He starts gaslighting the bullies with a classic "just guys being dudes" excuse. He drags the ticking time bomb to safety while sweating bullets. That was way too close to a game over screen. The background characters are already running their mouths, shipping these two harder than a fanfiction forum. Tsukimi tries to argue that her ears were hidden, but let's be real, she is running on pure, unfiltered denial. She glances down at her hand and realizes the bandage has pulled a disappearing act, and just like that, boing, the ears pop back out like they have a mind of their own. They retreat to the stairwell to escape the paparazzi. Tsukimi admits that keeping her predatory instincts in check is harder than beating a boss level with a broken controller. Mochizuki apologizes for going full psycho mode earlier, but seeing her like that just unlocks the dark archives of his memory. Flashback time. Back in the day, he was always the one throwing hands with bullies who had 50 pounds on him. He was scraping his knees and bruising his knuckles just to keep her safe. A certified short king legend in the making. But this wasn't a solo carry job. Kawa-chan was his personal tank. Whenever he was about to get sent to the lobby, she would spawn in, apologize for the lag, and absolutely demolish the opposition with zero hesitation. Back in the present, she strikes a hero pose and vows to be his shield. Mochizuki looks at her and realizes she is not just cute, she has evolved into a main character. He tells her not to push it, but inside his head, he is absolutely cooked. His heart is doing backflips. 10 minutes pass. The ears are still twitching. Mochizuki is sweating bullets, realizing that the waited out strategy is a total failure. The silence is getting louder by the second. He finally asks for the manual, hoping for a cheat code. She drops the bomb. The ears are powered by desire. To make them vanish, she does not need a timer. She needs to satisfy her hunger. And looking at him, that hunger is getting dangerous. Mochizuki attempts a diplomatic solution. He pulls out the yakisoba bread, hoping the high fructose corn syrup will distract the beast long enough for him to keep his vital organs inside his body. Denied. She slaps the carbs away because she is on a strict keto diet. She does not want bread. She wants the red stuff. That premium human vintage flowing through his veins. Mochizuki's brain runs 1,000 simulations a second. He realizes he does not need to get fully deleted to satisfy her hunger. He just needs to offer a sample size, a loophole in the contract. She points at his hand like she is ordering off a menu. She demands a finger, just the tip. He tries to explain that two people huddled in a corner while one sucks on the other's finger looks incredibly suspicious to the casual observer. But she does not care about optics. She is vibrating with enthusiasm. He sighs, accepting his fate as a juice box. He extends the hand and she politely excuses herself before absolutely violating his personal space. She latches on like a vacuum cleaner set to maximum power. No hesitation. Just pure unadulterated hunger mixed with zero social awareness. She is draining his HP bar in real time. Mochizuki stares at the ceiling, questioning every life choice that led to this moment. This is not the mindless monster from before. She is lucid. And worst of all, she is actually enjoying the flavor profile. He tries to process the data, but the math is not mathing. Why is she blushing? Why is she acting like a shy schoolgirl while actively consuming his ketchup? The cognitive dissonance is real. Then she has the audacity to ask him to look away because she is embarrassed. Lady, you are eating his hand in a public hallway. We are way past the point of shame. His brain completely short circuits. Of course, Murphy's Law kicks in. The hallway has windows. A random student walks by, clocks the absolute degeneracy happening in the corner, and freezes. He cannot believe the culture he is witnessing. The witness steals herself and sprints to the crime scene to bust them, but the suspects have already vanished into the shadows. They are literally tumbling down the stairs, trading spinal damage for plausible deniability, anything to escape the allegations. But out of the frying pan and into the fire, they roll straight into the final boss, the sister. She catches them mid-tumble, looks down at the pile of limbs, and demands an explanation. She analyzes their compromised position, the proximity, the sweat. She calls Cap immediately. Her face says liar in bold font, size 72. Mochizuki pleads innocent, sweating bullets. But the universe is not done with him. The local delinquents wander in right on cue to witness his social execution. Mochizuki runs the numbers inside his head. Zero chance of survival. He is totally cooked. If those goons find him looking fresh, he is getting folded like laundry. He needs a disguise, and he needs it 5 seconds ago. He turns to the sister with a galaxy brain idea. He begs her to punch him right in the gut. He needs her to absolutely deck him to sell the lie. She looks at him like he just grew a second head. She refuses to assault a random student because she is way too nice for this nonsense. So he decides to force her hand. He looks her dead in the eye and claims he is a total degenerate. He lies and says he forced Kawa-chan to do unspeakable things with his fingers. That flips the switch. She winds up torquing her hips and delivers a tactical nuke straight to his solar plexus. The impact ripples through his entire nervous system. He flies across the room like a rag doll. The crowd gasps as she stands over his twitching body. She screams that if he ever touches her sister again, a punch will be the least of his worries. The delinquents take one look at the wreckage and decide justice has been served. They bounce, leaving the creep to rot on the floor. Mochizuki is barely hanging on to consciousness. His vision is blurry, but he is smiling because the plan worked perfectly. Tsukimi asks why he had to go nuclear, but he just plays it cool. The adrenaline crash hits harder than a truck, leaving nothing but dead air between them. Tsukimi decides to make it weird, looking him dead in the eye and asking if he played hero just for her sake. Mochizuki starts leaking sweat like a broken faucet. He tries to pull the classic cool guy card, claiming he did it for himself, but his eyes are darting around the room like he is looking for an exit sign. She shuts that nonsense down instantly. The waterworks start flowing as she admits the truth. She hates watching him get turned into a punching bag. Realizing the lunch break clock is ticking, they try to walk off the awkwardness. Mochizuki mumbles a pathetic apology under his breath, but Tsukimi goes into interrogation mode. He panics, claiming he is just super popular with the guys to explain why he keeps getting sent to the lobby. The universe immediately calls his bluff. Invisible hands start slapping him around like a rag doll while he tries to pretend he isn't getting bullied by ghosts. Back inside, Mochizuki spots a massive fluff ball attached to her backside. His brain turns off and he grabs it, causing her to scream like a banshee. He gives it another squeeze and she practically turns into liquid. Apparently, that tail is wired directly to her nervous system. We are straying into dangerous culture territory here. The bell rings, signaling the end of their little moment. They need to fix this glitch fast, but Mochizuki's finger is bone dry. No ketchup left to seal the deal. Desperate times call for desperate measures. He offers up a fresh digit and Tsukimi goes full shark mode, eyes locking onto the target. One massive chomp later and Mochizuki is screaming his lungs out like he just lost a limb. Problem solved, probably. Meet Tsukimi Kawaru. On the surface, she looks like your standard issue student, but under the hood, she is secretly a wolf girl. And today, the universe decides to wake up and choose violence. The teacher drops the bomb. It is physical examination day. To make matters worse, the boys and girls are being separated for the inspections. Tsukimi freezes, her internal monologue screaming that this is where her cover gets blown to smithereens. Kawaru is absolutely vibing, pumping her fists like she just secured a victory royale. Meanwhile, Mochizuki is spiraling into a full-blown panic attack. He is running the calculations in his head, realizing that if a doctor sees anything fluffy, her secret life gets game-ended immediately. The contrast in energy here is wild. One is celebrating while the other is mentally writing his will. At lunch, the boys try to slide the classroom door open, but they get hit with access denied. The door is locked tight. Utsuru explains the situation with a smug grin that says he knows something they don't. The girls have commandeered the room to change into their gym gear, turning the classroom into a restricted zone. The boys instantly realize they are standing outside a fortress of absolute culture. One guy immediately starts hallucinating the scene inside, his brain rendering high-definition images, but Mochizuki snaps at him to stop being a creep. Inside, the girls are just doing their thing, completely oblivious to the thirst levels rising critically on the other side of the door. Utsuru decides to make it personal. He grins, leaning in to accuse Mochizuki of wanting to catch a glimpse of Tsukimi. Mochizuki turns bright red, his face heating up like a radiator, and tells him to get lost. He swears he has zero interest, but his facial expression is practically writing a confession letter right there. Utsuru keeps dribbling the ball, demanding the holy grail of data, Kawa's measurements. This guy is relentless. Mochizuki calls him trash, but Utsuru reveals he is essentially running a black market data ring with buyers lined up. He launches a jump shot, banking on Mochizuki's greed to seal the deal. Mochizuki rejects the offer with a high-velocity flying kick straight to the face. That is one way to say no. Utsuru eats the floor, wondering if his friend's legs are made of hydraulic pistons. Mochizuki calls a timeout to grab some juice, his mind still drifting back to Kawa. But the door creaks open, and he gets jump scared by the final boss, Kawaru's sister. She calmly notes he is flying solo, but Mochizuki is already sweating bullets, realizing exactly who she is. Panic mode engaged. He assumes he is about to get sent to the lobby and literally begs her to punch him in the gut. She refuses to strike, so he doubles down, confessing he is a scumbag who forced Kawa into some questionable situations. He drops the act and bows low, apologizing for his past crimes, hoping mercy is on the menu. She completely ignored his apology to her. She did not care about the drama. She just needed to confirm that Kawaru was busy with exams so she could execute her plan. Once the coast was clear, the mask came off. She dropped the cutesy Payon-chan nickname and demanded a one-on-one, literally yanking him onto the court by his tie before he could even process the request. The game started and she instantly broke the sound barrier. Mochizuki did not even see her move, he just felt the wind pressure as she vanished from his field of view. She went airborne for a highlight reel play, but realized too late she had 0 brakes. She slammed into the chain link fence like an uncontrolled missile. The shockwave was so intense it actually gave Mochizuki a nosebleed. She casually checked on him, completely unfazed by the fact she just ate metal for breakfast. Then she dropped the flex. This was her first time playing. No training, no club. She was running purely on raw stats. She explained that when you are a wolf, physics is just a suggestion. The power gap between them was not skill, it was biology, and that was the point of the beatdown. She stared him dead in the eye and asked the real question. How can a squishy human possibly protect her sister? Nego decided to test the physics engine immediately. She launched a surprise grapple attack, locking Kawaru in a hug that was less of an embrace and more of a tactical containment strategy. Then she ran the full diagnostics, 157 centimeters. Average stats on paper, sure, but Nego was treating her like a rare plushie she just snagged from a rigged claw machine. But here's the kicker. She leaned in, closing the distance to 0, and dropped a tactical gossip nuke. She heard Kawaru and Mochizuki were officially an item. Kawaru instantly hit the panic button, sweating bullets and demanding a source for that intel. Nego didn't even hesitate, she just said, "Utsuru told me." That was a critical hit right to the health bar. Kawaru realized Nego had a direct comms line to her own sister. The betrayal was literally coming from inside the house. She slams the ball through the hoop with 0 mercy. That is 12 unanswered points. And Mochizuki is literally wheezing, fighting for oxygen like he just ran a marathon underwater. The man is cooked. He realizes the skill gap isn't just a gap, it is a whole canyon. But inside his head, he is screaming that he can't go out like a scrub. He refuses to fold and demands one more round. She doesn't hesitate. She engages God mode, cranking up the speed, stamina, and instinct. She launches a rush so fast he can't even track the pixels. She plants her foot and absolutely dissects him, breaking his ankles and his ego. She tells him straight up that he is lacking in every single category. She blows past his defense like he isn't even there, dropping the bomb that his relationship is going to get Kawaru hurt. That is a low blow. That hits a nerve. He screams that she is bluffing, trying to convince himself more than her, but she spins around him, insisting she has the receipts. She claims she mastered this curse years ago. She is out here balancing a social life while my guy is struggling to basic human function, but their power is radioactive. To prove it, she bursts forward, nearly sending 2 random NPCs to the hospital. Watch out, pedestrians. She sinks a perfect jumper, nothing but net. She warns him that if he is just a liability, he needs to pack his bags and leave. She finishes the lesson with a rim-rattling dunk that shakes the whole court and leaves him stunned. He thinks about it. Separating would be the safe play. It would stop the pain. It would be easy. But he grips the ball, looking her dead in the eye. He knows quitting is not what Kawaru wants, and he isn't about to let her down now. Nego wipes the waterworks and drops the hammer. He knows he is being selfish, totally ignoring her wishes, but there is no way in hell he is leaving her side. He is glued to the spot. She is not buying the hero act though. She gets right in his grill and screams, telling him to stop pretending he understands her damage. Ouch. That one definitely hit a nerve. The tension snaps and Nego slumps over, gasping for air like he just ran a marathon. Then Utsuru spots a major wardrobe malfunction. His stress levels spiked so hard that his wolf ears literally popped out of his head. He goes into full panic mode, frantically trying to mash the fluff back down. He admits he has never lost his cool like that before. Watching him freak out actually chills Utsuru out, and she apologizes for snapping at him. She finally drops the lore dump on the real danger. Kaworu is a total genetic anomaly. Normal wolves can be around ketchup without instantly turning into raging monsters. But for Kaworu, it is a hair-trigger nightmare. She has been fighting a war against her own instincts every single day, grinding way harder than anyone realized. Nego's brain basically blue-screened. He snatched the clipboard so hard the paper nearly ripped, scanning the schedule like his life depended on it. And then he saw it, the ultimate nightmare scenario. Mandatory ketchup extraction. He froze solid, realizing the game was rigged from the start. He whipped around to face Utsuru, expecting an apology, but she just stood there with zero remorse. She actually admitted she had been stalling him on purpose. Talk about absolute betrayal. She was gambling with a literal monster, and she did not even blink. Before he could even scream, a sickening smack echoed across the campus. Someone just took a massive hit on the ramp, and the sound alone was enough to make you wince. Nego launched himself into a sprint, legs pumping, shouting for Mochizuki to move it. The stakes were catastrophic. If Kaworu saw even a single drop of ketchup from that crash, she would not just panic. She would transform instantly. He had to stop the visual contact right now, or the entire school was toast. Random students stood around looking confused, checking their tablets while disaster loomed right over their heads. Nego roared her name, lungs burning, praying he could shield her eyes before the beast woke up and sent everyone to the lobby. We are rewinding the clock to when Kaworu was just 11 years old. She wasn't just coming down with a fever, oh no. Her body was betraying her, sprouting fur and ears right in front of her sister who looked like she just saw a ghost. Then the hunger hit like a freight train. Saliva was practically flooding the floor as she locked eyes with Mochizuki. The diagnosis was simple but brutal. His ketchup is her activation key. One drop and she completely loses her marbles. They went into full quarantine mode. She packed her bags and moved away from civilization, training every single day just to keep the beast on a leash. She was fighting a war inside her own head, but it was all useless. One look at his injuries and she resets to level 0. She refuses to throw in the towel, but the higher-ups drew a line in the sand. One slip-up, one tiny incident, and she is getting exiled from the server permanently. And naturally, fate decides to drop a nuke on the situation. A panicked student rushes in with the absolute nightmare scenario. Class 2 is currently extracting ketchup samples, and that scent is about to flood the hallway like a tsunami. Mochizuki is tearing down the hallway, burning every ounce of stamina he has left. In his head, he is calculating the seconds, knowing one slip-up sends him straight to the lobby. He sees the target and slams the brakes, shoes screeching against the floor tiles as he drifts into a hard stop. He grabs the double doors with enough force to rip them off the hinges. His lungs are screaming for air as he grips the handle. He thinks he reached the safe zone, but spoiler alert, the game was rigged from the start. Nego literally spawns on his back like a glitch in the Matrix. While he is fighting for his life, she decides it is the perfect time to lecture him about keeping the noise down during exams. Read the room, lady. He hits the skip button on her NPC dialogue and tries to speedrun his way to the exit. Instant karma hits him harder than the wall. He runs face first into an invisible force field. The collision is so violent it rattles his entire bloodline. Nego locks him in a grapple that would make a pro wrestler jealous. He screams that Kawa is in danger, desperate to make her understand, but she refuses to budge an inch. Then she drops the truth bomb. Utsuru ordered this lockdown personally. He is not a guest here, he is a prisoner. His brain goes into blue screen of death mode. She offers a fake apology, but the pieces are clicking into place. He knows exactly what is going on now. She is an op working for the big sister. He spots Tsukimi nearby, just casually scrolling on her phone like a villain waiting for her Uber. The audacity is off the charts. Mochizuki decides he has seen enough staring contests for one day. He slices right through the awkward silence, snapping Tsukimi out of her little detective trance before she can connect the dots. Meanwhile, over by the curtain, Kawaru is absolutely selling the bag. The line is backed up all the way to next week, and the NPCs are losing their minds, screaming at him to quit stalling and get his butt in the booth. His sister steps in to play the hero, patting his back and assuming he is just terrified of pointy objects. She is probably thinking, "Just close your eyes, wimp." But Kawaru shakes his head. It is not the needle that has him sweating buckets. It is the ketchup. Just the thought of seeing the red stuff triggers a full-blown identity crisis inside his skull. His brain is practically short-circuiting, screaming at him to run before he sees something he cannot unsee. Nego slammed him into the floorboards. She pinned him down before the panic attack could spiral. Kawaru fought back like a man possessed. He thrashed around, trying to muscle his way out of the grapple. Nego thought, "Is this guy allergic to chilling out?" She tightened the scarf. She shouted that he was literally choking himself out. Zero survival instincts detected. Darwin would have a field day with this one. She yelled for Mochizuki to run. Snap. That was the sound of everything going wrong at once. Nego hit the deck. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a drum solo. She looked up in total disbelief. She realized she had completely lost control of the asset. "Way to go, Nego." She tried to beg him to stop. She screamed, "Hold up." Too late. He launched himself into the sky like a missile, gone in a blink. A feral nightmare lunged from the void. Claws out, eyes wide. It was looking to delete someone from the census. Mochizuki got caught in the crossfire. The enemy moved so fast the air cracked. He skidded across the beams just to keep his balance. He screamed at himself to track the movement. The target bounced off the steel like a pinball. He thought, "I can't hit what I can't see." He couldn't get a lock. The beast lunged in the corridor. Nego barely scrambled away. A body slammed into the floor with a sickening crunch. She panted like she just ran a marathon. She stared at the mess. This definitely wasn't part of the script. The plan was officially cooked. But then, the atmosphere gets heavy. Kawaru spots Pyeonchan chilling by the gym, looming over a knocked-out body like it is just another boring Tuesday. Mochizuki's internal alarm bells start ringing. Pyeonchan was supposed to be on biohazard duty. Everyone knows the deal. One drop of ketchup, and she goes full wolf mode. She rushes in, bracing herself for a raid boss, but she gets nothing. Zero transformation. No fur, no claws. The logic is simply not mathing. The silence is loud enough to break glass. Then, a bomb drops that leaves Kawaru absolutely shook. Nego corners Kawaru in the alley, getting right in her face. She insists the air reeks of fresh ketchup, but Kawaru is just standing there, totally confused. The wolf never actually came out to play, and the logic isn't adding up. Her suspicion does a 180, locking straight onto the infirmary. She saw Mochizuki in that bed. She saw the glitch when he briefly shapeshifted. There is something seriously wrong with that boy, and she is not letting it slide. Then her memory kicks into overdrive. She replays the tape in her head. That silhouette she saw? It wasn't a wolf, it was a rabbit. Nego freezes in pure shock, realizing they have been reading the manual upside down this whole time. Utsuru dials up Kawaru's sister, who tries to dodge the call like a bill collector. He shuts her down instantly. He tells her to listen up because he just solved the mystery of the century. He delivers the final verdict with zero hesitation. The trigger was never human ketchup. Kawaru is reacting to Mochizuki's veins. She is reacting to the rabbit ketchup.